Coming up on West Virginia Today, I'm Claudia DeLima, and I'll tell you about how your trip to the grocery store might look a little different.
West Virginia students are adjusting to a new statewide rule. I'm Reagan Deuceman, and I'll tell you how classrooms are going back to the basics without their phones. West Virginia Today starts now.
A new law has some West Virginia parents concerned over religious language being displayed in public school classrooms. I'm Hannah High School.
And I'm Ty McClung. Grocery prices are rising, but customers could see an even higher bill as bans on certain food dyes take effect.
Coming up, we explore how laws passed during this year's legislative session are impacting West Virginians as they are implemented.
This is West Virginia Today, a public affairs show produced by television journalism students right here at West Virginia University.
Every Town for Gun Safety reports more than 100 incidents of guns being fired on school grounds so far this year.
An August shooting at a Catholic school in Minneapolis that resulted in the death of 2 students is just the latest instance of violence to spark conversations about how to keep kids safe.
In West Virginia, lawmakers are trying to balance safety with reduced distractions in the classroom.
Reagan Deuceman joins us live in the studio to tell us more about a new phone ban taking effect statewide this fall. Reagan?
Thanks, Ty. Hannah. West Virginia students are banned from having cell phones in classrooms starting this school year. The law that took effect this summer allows schools to decide how to implement the ban themselves. Some are using magnetic pouches that lock at the beginning of the day and can only be unlocked by a teacher or principal. Experts say the ban could be good because cell phones play a complex role in childhood development.
There are different types of tasks that are more compatible with each other. That's how we can take notes, for instance, right? Like listening and writing is a form of multitasking. However, those tasks are more compatible because they're not requiring attention to go in different directions. Therefore, technology can either help with those tasks or it can hinder them.
Students have mixed feelings about the ban. While some say they think fewer distractions will improve their learning, others say their phones help them stay connected and even feel safe. Lawmakers say another benefit of the phone ban is a decrease in cyberbullying during the school day.
Thanks, Reagan. Students are also seeing new signs in classrooms across West Virginia. State law now requires public schools to display the national motto, "In God We Trust." Public funds cannot be spent on the signs, so many schools are relying on private donations to comply with the law, including a recent donation of 2,500 signs by Christian conservative business Patriot Mobile. The company spent nearly $10,000 on the donation and created backlash across the state for implications of far-right involvement in schools. But some educators say the signs can improve students' civic knowledge, no matter who donates them.
I think that anytime that we can promote a knowledge of citizenship for our students, it's a positive thing. This is our national motto, and so making our students aware of national laws and history about our country is never a bad thing.
The bill has also raised questions about religious language forced on students in schools. But legal experts at WVU say it does not violate the constitutional protection separating church and state.
One of the focuses of the Trump administration's Make America Healthy Again initiative is combating chronic illnesses in children. It includes the elimination of artificial food dyes that federal health officials say cause hyperactivity. The White House says nearly 35% of America's food industry has pledged to remove these dyes from their products by 2028. But as Claudia DeLima reports, West Virginia is taking it one step further and is one of 3 states enacting bans of their own.
Siobhan Dorcas is a mother of 2 and a medical unit coordinator in Charleston, West Virginia. She hasn't fed her children food dyes in almost 20 years due to her eldest daughter's allergies. West Virginia is banning some of those dyes, but Dorcas says she doesn't think that's necessary.
The dyes can be bad for you, but also in the same sense, okay, then just don't eat it. If you don't like it, don't eat it. So, I mean, they've always been on the shelf. If I don't like it or I think something's bad, I'm just not going to get it. We can get something else and move on from it.
Even families without allergies will have to eliminate some chemicals from their diet. West Virginia House Bill 2354 effectively bans certain dyes and preservatives from hitting grocery store shelves in early 2028. As of August this year, those dyes are already banned in schools, but there's still debate amongst experts on how dangerous these ingredients really are. Some nutritionists say the controversy around food dyes might be unwarranted, and the state should focus on improving kids' health in other ways.
We can start off by food insecurity. We're probably one of the most food insecure states in the country. We have so many children that go hungry on a regular basis. We have trans fats. We have just a inaccessible amount of food across our state, of healthy food across our state. So I do believe that there are other way more important health-related topics to be covered right now instead of food dyes.
Many of the prohibited ingredients, like Blue 1, Yellow 5, and Red 40, are already banned outside of the U.S. due to their possible health effects. Multiple studies in rats have linked these dyes and preservatives to cancer, reproductive harm, and disruption to the endocrine system. West Virginia is the third state in the U.S. to implement a ban behind Virginia and California.
So what might this mean for consumers? Well, you may not be able to find products like this one on store shelves anymore. However, some companies are already implementing new reformulated products before the ban is implemented.
Companies like Kraft Heinz have announced plans to switch to natural alternatives, like beet or carrot juice. But some experts warn that reformulation could increase costs for consumers and cause issues with supply. However, proponents of the bill, like Governor Patrick Morrisey, believe the benefits outweigh the costs.
We know that studies show that can lead to issues with hormones and hyperactivity and learning challenges for our kids, and even cancer. Our kids deserve better, and now they're going to get it. You deserve that.
Experts say the bans might make it more difficult to find affordable food options, as dye-free foods tend to be more expensive. Even with her family's allergies, Dorcas thinks the ban won't actually address health concerns in West Virginia, like obesity, and will instead turn people to cheaper alternatives.
Banning that is not going to make that situation go away. It has to be. I mean, if you ban that, they can still go to Burger King. They can still go to, the fast food places. So, and it's going to probably be cheaper than going to the store and buying something.
For some families with allergies, though, the ban might offer extra peace of mind. For West Virginia Today, I'm Claudia DeLima.
A ban on artificial food dyes is just one of many issues affecting the state's children that lawmakers debated during their legislative session this year. From ways to improve the state's foster care system that's housing nearly 6,000 children to bills that would loosen the state school vaccine requirements, legislators considered new laws that will shape the future for kids across the state. Ty is joined in the studio now by a journalist who specializes in coverage of children and families. Ty?
Thanks, Hannah. I'm here with Amelia Nicely, an investigative reporter for West Virginia Watch. She covers stories about child welfare, poverty, and West Virginia's foster care system. Amelia, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
West Virginia Today reporter Claudia DeLima reported on a food dye ban which lawmakers approved during last year's legislative session. It's also a part of the Make America Healthy Again initiative by Secretary Robert Kennedy. Amelia, are you noticing West Virginia politicians taking the lead on implementing national policies here in West Virginia?
Some of them, absolutely. And I think when it comes to the Make America Healthy Again initiative, we saw a strong rollout from lawmakers. Trump carried West Virginia very easily. And of course, lots of lawmakers are fans of Trump, but even the ones who maybe wouldn't attach themselves to him publicly, it's very politically popular for them to do that, right? And so some lawmakers were already implementing some things like food dye bans in their own homes even before this was a national issue. And so they hit the ground running as soon as we got into session and as soon as we saw that become a national issue as well. It's really interesting to see West Virginia be on the forefront of that particular issue in a state that we have a myriad of child health issues. I think lawmakers are aware, though, that there's much more to do, right? We are at the bottom of many lists of child health outcomes. We have shortages of pediatricians and mental health care. Some counties don't have a single grocery store. And I think they know there's more work to do. So not a victory lap yet on this issue, but they were very happy to be on the forefront of a Trump policy this year on this one.
We've also reported about religious exemptions for vaccine requirements in schools, which is a story that you've followed very closely over the last few years, reporting that only a tiny fraction of school-age students really have these exemptions. But with these policy changes being held up in legal battles in courts, what's the latest?
It's a very complex situation, but in short, we have lawsuits all over the state where it essentially boils down to the governor versus the school board. The school boards want to keep our state vaccine laws very strict. We have some of the strictest in the country. And the governor believes that parents should be able to use religious exemptions to not vaccinate their children but still attend public schools. And one of the main lawsuits is in Raleigh County, where families who want to use the religious exemption have sued their school board. That case is back in court next week. There is even some movement that it could turn into a class action. We don't know what's going to happen yet, of course, but I think regardless of what happens next week in Raleigh County, we're going to see this land before the Supreme Court, because those lawsuits all over the state are actually getting different rulings, and it's just such a complex issue that really is going to test West Virginia's religious freedom law. So I assume we will see that before the Supreme Court next year.
We also have recently reported, both on our show and on our website, about a new law requiring schools to display the national motto, "In God We Trust." This policy seems to indicate that there's more of a discussion of religious issues in the State House. Do you see that trend in your coverage?
I do. I mean, I think it's been there before Trump was back in office this time, but I think because it is part of the national rhetoric, and like I said, we are a very Trump-friendly legislature and state, we're seeing it more at the State House as well. And I think also, particularly in the Senate, we have people who are now in power positions that really attach themselves to these religious bills. In the past, those people were more on the wings, I would say, and now with a shift in power in the Senate and Governor Morrisey in office, I think religion in laws is really at the center of so much that's going on in the legislature now. So it's very interesting to cover and try to figure out legally what's going to hold up in court.
We've also reported a story on our website about issues in the foster care system and a new statewide communication system that is supposed to streamline communication between the parties involved. So far, we know of only one county, Randolph County, implementing this system. Have you seen this system? Do you see this system as actually facing any of the issues of foster care?
Yeah, I do. I think on the surface, it sounds like communication portal. It's essentially a chat room, and you might think, oh, big deal. But I will say something really interesting about this. It came from a piece of legislation that passed earlier this year. It is the brainchild of two lawmakers, Republicans, who are also foster parents. And so this is one of those really interesting pieces of legislation that is a direct result of foster parents listening to other foster parents, bringing their own concerns into it, and then passing this bill. Now, they're well aware that there are a lot of problems facing foster care, and this communication portal is not going to fix those problems, right? It doesn't mean we're not going to send more kids out of state, right? Or it doesn't mean we're going to suddenly have more mental health care for foster kids. But communication is a huge issue in the foster care system. And whether it's foster parents communicating with CPS workers or biological parents, communicating with their attorney, all of that should be made easier with this. So I do think that while it's not the key to fixing everything, it's a really critical piece of legislation, and hopefully as we see it roll out across the state, there is a reporting mandate in it, and so I think in a year we're going to learn more if it's been successful, and I hope that it will be.
Mm-hmm. Following up on that, you talked about the importance of foster parents listening to other foster parents. Earlier this year, representatives from the state foster care system embarked on a listening tour across the entire state, and you followed up on this throughout your coverage. Have you noticed any solutions to the issues coming from this tour specifically?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually got to attend this tour in Parkersburg. It was really interesting. The state actually hired an outside group. They did pay $385,000 for it. It was not a cheap tour, but I got to attend it, and it was interesting to hear foster parents, CPS workers, judges, attorneys, etc., just lay it all out there. Now, none of their concerns were really new. It won't shock you to know communication was one of those concerns, but they were able to just say to the new Morrisey administration, this is what's going on, and this is why the system is really crumbling. And then this outside group put together a report. And some of the suggestions are really boring, but I'll still report on them. But one of them is just implementing streamlined policy across the state when it comes to how courts and CPS workers handle foster care cases. Right now, a big complaint is the system is that a biological parent trying to get their child back in Randolph County will have a totally different experience than a parent, say, in Monroe County. And so new Secretary of Human Services, Alex Mayer, who just came in January, he already even this tour was really focused on streamlining processes. So again, not the most exciting thing to report on, but I think is a really critical thing to help move this foster care system out of crisis.
Amelia, I want to think, we have about 30 seconds left, so one final question really quickly. What do you expect to be one of the biggest issues the legislature tackles next session?
I'm going to say education and school funding. Our schools, and we only have a few seconds, but our schools are really struggling with their funding between population decline, Hope Scholarship Voucher Program, other things going on, and they've got to revamp that school aid formula or we're going to continue to see so many school closures around the country, or I'm sorry, around the state. And I don't know if they will do that, but that's what I'm hearing rumblings of, and it really seems like a pressing issue.
Amelia, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. Hannah, back to you.
Thanks, Ty. Coming up next on West Virginia Today, we'll take a look at some legislative efforts to keep players, coaches, and officials safe during sporting events. Stay with us.
Coming up on West Virginia Today, I'm Ty McClung, and I'll tell you about a bill designed to help protect sports officials from abuse.
Straight ahead on West Virginia Today, I'm Lily Reisweber, and I'll tell you about a bill that aims to keep student athletes safe and help coaches step up safety efforts on the field.
Quiet and ready in control room. 3, 2, 1. Fan in bumper.
WVU News is local, in-depth, and always on the move for you. And it's always on YouTube, on the web, and on the Reed College of Media website. A national first-place Emmy Award-winning college newscast, taped at the Waterfront Studio at West Virginia University. Stay in the know, stay connected, watch WVU News.
Hi, we're WVU. You probably know us for screaming. And yeah, we're pretty good at it. But here, it's more than a chant. It's our celebration of innovation.
Let's go.
Our rallying cry for community.
Let's go!
And honestly, it's just our way of life. So whether you're chasing big dreams or just chasing sunsets,
Let's go!
Welcome back. More than 2/3 of the 35,000 officials who responded to a 2023 survey said harassment on the field is getting worse, Hannah. The survey came from the National Association of Sports Officials.
More than 20 states have laws criminalizing attacks and harassment of referees in the hopes that it will act as a deterrent for bad behavior.
A similar bill was introduced in West Virginia this year, but was vetoed by Governor Patrick Morrisey. I traveled to Bridgeport to talk to sports officials who say they're disappointed in the veto and want lawmakers to do more in the future.
A youth soccer game gone wrong. A parent attacking a referee, slamming him into the ground.
It's an issue that is sweeping the nation. Abuse against sports officials has led to a shortage of referees across the country. And for some experienced officials, like David Mara, hostility and abuse towards referees isn't a new issue.
Well, it's never been good, but it's gotten worse over the years. Parents seem to think that their little Johnny and Joes are the most important thing in the world, and they're all going to go to the NFL, which is not going to happen. So they take it pretty personally.
The National Association of Sports Officials say that more than 87% of officials have been verbally abused and more than 13% have been physically assaulted during or after officiating a game. That's why Senator Mike Woelfel, a Democrat from Cabell County, introduced Senate Bill 531 this year. The bill would have increased penalties for people convicted of assault or battery against an official.
I was talking to a baseball umpire recently who said, when I do Little League games, I might get paid with a corn dog. And that's not enough of a compensation to put up with these brutal parents that want to fight officials and threaten to meet them at their car and otherwise intimidate, much less attack.
The bill would have increased the penalty for assault to a less than $1,000 fine and up to 2 years in prison. The penalty for battery would be a less than $2,000 fine and up to 3 years in prison. Some West Virginia sports officials believe that these harsh penalties are necessary to cut down on the issue.
There is nowhere in society for those types of behaviors that the penalties should be harsh for those types of actions, because not only are we displaying just a horrendous action and behavior, but we're also sending a message to our children that this type of behavior, when you don't get your way, is okay, and that's not right either.
The WVSSAC reports they're also losing referees. They have 539 active football referees across the state, but only a 50% retention rate across all sports each year.
According to ESPN, 80% of new referees across all sports quit within the first 2 years due to abuse from parents, coaches, and athletes.
Mara says he's worried the trend will start to impact the ability to keep sports going at the high school level.
We'll get maybe 8 or 10 guys take the class. You're lucky 5 years later you still retain 2 of them. And it's mainly because they have to start at the lower levels where the parents are a little bit worse.
Prepared machine.
Senate Bill 531 passed in both the House and Senate, but was vetoed by Governor Patrick Morrisey. In a statement released by the governor's office, Morrisey said he could not sign a bill that justified a crime against a referee carrying a higher sentence than assaulting a police officer. But referees like Mara believe there isn't much of a difference.
We serve almost basically the same function. We just do it on the football field as opposed to the streets.
Mara says that had the bill been signed into law, it would have set a precedent. But he doesn't think it would end all harassment of officials.
The bill's sponsor, Senator Mike Wolfel, says he plans to reintroduce it during the 2026 legislative session.
63% of concussions in football are caused by tackling, Ty.
And Hannah, lawmakers in West Virginia are looking for ways to reduce these injuries in high school sports. This year, they considered a bill to require guardian caps, a soft-shelled additional layer to football helmets that can reduce head impact severity by nearly 10%.
Reporter Lily Reisenweber traveled to Wheeling to meet a student athlete who is using these caps to keep himself and his teammates safe.
High school junior Dustin Sienner suffered a concussion last season playing linebacker for Wheeling Central Catholic High School. Since that injury, he doesn't step on the field without extra protection in the form of a guardian cap.
I've seen a little difference. I mean, the contact isn't as forceful, and it's not really heavy on my helmet, so I can't really tell it's there.
Wheeling Central Catholic's head football coach Mike Young enters his 55th season as a coach. He says his staff takes head injuries seriously when it comes to practice and hitting.
We use shields that are rubberized, somewhat packed, and we tackle dummies, and it's very helpful to do that because you can still teach physicality with those and not jeopardize the well-being of the players.
West Virginia lawmakers are looking to find ways to keep student athletes safe after the death of Madison Middle School's Cohen Craddock. Craddock passed away after suffering a traumatic brain injury during a football practice. Senators introduced Senate Bill 585, the Cohen Craddock Student Athlete Safety Act, earlier this year. It would require the use of soft-shell guardian caps for all West Virginia youth football players. According to the CDC, more than 2 out of 3 concussions in high school sports are caused by head-on collisions. While the WVSSAC has approved these soft-shell caps for use during practice and games, very few athletes have taken advantage of them. Senator Eric Tarr of Putnam County voted in support of the bill. Even with the vote, Tarr, who is a physical therapist, believes the guardian cap may not be the best solution to student athlete safety.
I think that although the intentions were very well founded for that bill, that didn't really have a lot of good science behind it relative to the expense that it takes to manage concussions well and reduce concussions. I think that it had the potential to reduce the ability to actually direct money towards stuff that had some science behind it.
Each cap costs about $60, which school officials say in some areas is more than they can manage. Wheeling Central Catholic's athletic trainer Braden Carroll says he's not sure if there's any emerging technology that he feels strongly about to prevent concussions. Instead, Carroll says the best way to prevent and treat concussions is to educate players, parents, and coaches on how to avoid and identify them and how to treat them properly.
It's a common misconception that concussions are protecting the outside of the head, but the concussions actually occur from the brain hitting off the inside of your skull. So the theory behind that is if you put more padding on the outside of the head, that's not necessarily going to slow your brain from hitting the inside of your skull.
The bill didn't become law this year. It was never put to vote in the House, but lawmakers say it may be reintroduced next year. For West Virginia Today, I'm Lily Reisenweber in Wheeling.
Nearly 2,500 bills were introduced during the 2025 legislative session, but only 1 in 10 actually became law.
Some bills that didn't make the cut involved assuring West Virginians access to clean drinking water and affordable utility bills, and some policy changes that would have made cuts to Medicaid funding.
Reporter Jeff Bogus joins us from Studio B at the Media Innovation Center to tell us how some legislators are preparing for next year. Jeff?
Thanks, Ty. Hannah. West Virginia House Democrats are hitting the road on a kitchen table tour. These public forums will be held across the state, giving West Virginians a chance to speak directly with their representatives about issues impacting them. It was standing room only at the second of 10 community forums, this time in Martinsburg on September 15th. Nearly 100 people were in attendance to talk to members of the legislature about their concerns. They discussed the rising cost of living, access to health care, and local industries' impact on the environment. Lawmakers say having a conversation is just the start.
But one of the things we want to do is make sure that if you feel like there's not a whole lot that can be done right now, I think you're wrong.
Legislators don't have all the answers. This is a people thing. And so the more we listen, we're going to get it right, and we're going to go to the Capitol and fight like hell for all of those kitchen table issues.
5 members of the legislature attended the public forum. All were Democrats, but lawmakers say they want all members of the public to share their concerns with them at upcoming events. The tour is scheduled to conclude in Beckley on November 3rd, with stops in between in Wheeling, Lewisburg, and Flatwoods. Hannah, Ty, back to you at the Waterfront Studio.
Thanks, Jeff. Well, that's going to do it for us on this edition of West Virginia Today. I'm Ty McClung.
And I'm Hannah High School. You can keep up with the latest from West Virginia Today on our website at the bottom of your screen. You can also watch our shows on YouTube and statewide on West Virginia Public Broadcasting.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on West Virginia Today.